Welcome to Lookouts and Waterfalls in the Blue Mountains, episode 22, Let Our Videos Be Your Guide. In this episode, we're again in Katoomba to visit a number of lookouts between the Three Sisters and Katoomba Cascades. Hello and welcome. We've walked a short distance towards our first location for the day, Lady Darley's Lookout. We'll see that shortly. From there we'll join the Prince Henry Cliff Walk and walk west towards the scenic railway to Allambie Lookout. Then we'll walk to Little Milou Lookout. After that, we'll visit Wollumai Lookout. Continuing along Cliff Walk, we'll reach Cliffview Lookout next to the Skyway. For our last stop today, we'll take a look along the Katoomba Cascades in Katoomba Falls Reserve. I'll provide GPS coordinates and a map at the end of this walk. Now here's how we got to the start of the walking track.
We've followed them for a motorway from Sydney onto the Great Western Highway and will again take the left exit into Katoomba, 43 kilometres from the bridge over the Nepean River. As in previous episodes, we'll turn there several more times in future episodes to the numerous scenic attractions around Katoomba. This is a map of the roads we took to get to the walking track. If your vehicle has a trip meter, set it to 0 as you exit the highway. At 120 metres at the roundabout, turn left onto Bathurst Road. At 280 metres, proceed straight across the second roundabout into Gang Street. After 350 metres, turn right into Lurline Street. At 2.1 kilometres, veer slightly left at Birdwood Street onto Echo Point Road. At 2.4 kilometres, turn right into Panorama Drive. Continue along Panorama Drive and find a spot to park.
Lady Darley's Lookout is beside us, so
Let's go! Lady Darley Lookout is on the Prince Henry Cliff Walk between Echo Point and Allambie Lookout, about 100 metres south of Panorama Drive, near Lilienfels Resort. It can be accessed from both the east and the west on the Cliff Walk. However, a 100-metre track, this track, from Panorama Drive on Lady Darley Point, is the shortest route. In 1914, the Daily Telegraph reported, "Let us wind our way along the hillside, a rustic footpath underneath, until we reach the double-decked lookout, specially named in honour of the first proprietress of Lilienfels, Lady Darley's Lookout. A jutting rock forms the platform. Strong iron guards securely driven into the sandstone afford the necessary sense of security as one stands on a dizzy height and looks down into the depths below and out onto the fair and enticing scene beyond.
Lady Darley's Lookout was named after Lucy Forrest Brown, daughter of Mr. Sylvester Brown of Heidelberg, Melbourne. In December 1860, she married Sir Frederick Matthew Darley, who later became Chief Justice in 1866 and Lieutenant Governor of New South Wales in 1891. The couple lived in Sydney, in the suburb of Woollahra, and after 1899 spent summers in Katoomba at Lilienfels, the home Sir Darley had built for that purpose. You'll remember I spoke about Lilienfels in episode 21. The work Lady Darling did in connection with many charitable institutions caused her to be gratefully remembered long after she left Sydney with her husband for London. Lady Darley's Lookout was originally named Darley's Lookout, apparently to honour both Sir Frederick and Lady Darley.
From Lady Darley's Lookout, a flight of rustic steps lead down to a shady dell, a large circular subalpine forest of the beautiful Eucalyptus aureatus, after which Allambie Lookout is reached. It is here that a wonderful view of the forest hundreds of metres below can be seen. From this dizzy height the trees look like pygmies, and some of these ancient monarchs of the forest can have growth large in proportion to almost 60 metres in height.
Allambie, the original word for quiet place or place of meditation, was given to this lookout by Mr. William Farris Blakely, 1875 to 1941, from the Royal Botanical Gardens and approved by the Blue Mountains Shire Council. The lookout became a part of the first stage of the Prince Henry Cliff Walk, opened on Saturday the 20th of October 1934 by the New South Wales Minister for Local Government, Eric Spooner, a man we have mentioned in a number of previous episodes. You can see two of the sisters from here.
Having left the Allambie Lookout, we continue west towards Katoomba Falls Reserve to reach Little Milou Lookout. It, like Lady Darley and Allambie Lookouts, has views into the Jemison Valley and across to Mount Solitary. This spot is more of a vantage point rather than an established lookout on the Prince Henry Cliff Walk.
I've searched for the origin of the name of this vantage point without any success. If you know, please leave a comment. In 1934, on the 23rd of October, the Katoomba Daily published an article entitled Along the Prince Henry Cliff Walk that described this part of the walk, but in the opposite direction. For clarity, I have reversed the text. After leaving Allambie Lookout, one passes a charming rock garden and a bank further on covered with beady fern, wattles and banksia. Next is a rockery that continues in semicircular fashion with a small rocky platform jutting into a richly forested dell, followed by steps leading up to Wollumai Lookout. Although there is no attached sign, I suspect the small rocky platform mentioned is now called Little Milou Lookout.
We're back on Prince Henry Cliff Walk between Little Milou and our next destination, Wollumai Lookout. This lookout gives views of the Three Sisters to the east, Mount Solitary in the south, and to the west can be seen the Skyway and the Scenic Railway. Apparently, Wollumai is an Aboriginal term for look out, watch your step. It is also the name of the Wollumai Pine and Wollumai National Park Although spelt differently like the Allambie Lookout, this lookout's name was instigated by William Blakely from the Royal Botanical Gardens.
In 1934, a local journalist walked this section of the Prince Henry Cliff Walk and after admiring the view from Wollumai Lookout, wrote, "There in the wild grandeur is Mount Solitary, or Corrigal of the Blacks, like an enchanted isle in an emerald ocean. Far, far away in the south and east, the undulating valley ranges, bathed in the glorious blue haze of distance, look like billows of a mighty ocean, surging and rolling on, till they strike against the stupendous cliff-bound coast with its crags and peaks and rich coloration, and heave and swell calmly around the enchanted isle." Gentlemen,
Yeah.
Could we trouble you for a shot from the edge there? I just want to get a panorama shot. I don't have to go to the rail. You can see all of the Three Sisters here if that tree wasn't there. Thanks for that.
Thank you very much.
No worries, guys.
Okay, you're on. What are you going to say?
Hey, come on down to the Katoomba Falls.
And where are you from?
Sydney.
Yeah, are you from Sydney? You been here often?
Yes?
Plen-
Not often enough.
Plenty of times.
Plenty of time.
There you go.
Before we reach the next lookout, there is a feature worth visiting. It's an immense boulder of rock uphill from the Prince Henry Cliff Walk above Wollumai Lookout. It is called Sphinx or Sphinx Rock.
Let's go and have a look. A short description of Sphinx Rock was first published
Up
in the Sydney Morning Herald on the 17th of November 1884. It read, "To one side were three strange columns of rocks, the Three Sisters, and not far distant stood an immense boulder of rock upon the verge of the cliff, and which bore the name of Sphinx. From their resemblance it bore, at a distance, to the Egyptian monument." This drawing appeared in the Illustrated Sydney News on Thursday, the 19th of September, 1889. First look. And there's the Sphinx. From this side, doesn't look much like a Sphinx. That supposedly is a Sphinx. I think it's worn itself into a dog. What's that? Out in the weather? What's inside? Someone's locked it and then someone's forced it open and put a rock in it. There you go. Doesn't look like a Sphinx from here either. Well, anyway, it's certainly a rock with a little cave in it. Once upon a time, It looked like a sphinx. Now, I've got to get down.
We're now back on Prince Henry Cliff Walk and heading to Cliff View Lookout.
The Katoomba Daily newspaper in October 1934 read, "One is fascinated with the view from Cliff View Lookout. Perpendicular cliffs with their rugged, various coloured sides looking truly wonderful in the soft morning light. To the west is the coal mine, and beneath it are further steps leading to the Federal Pass. The Katoomba Falls are behind the rock projection on the extreme right. Along the sloping northern escarpment, a pretty knoll clothed with waving clumps of bushy oak juts into the valley. On the left of the knoll, curious projecting rocks of fantastic shape may be noticed just beyond the intersection of the track from Katoomba Street and Birchwood Avenue."
Next, we'll pass under the eastern side of the cable skyway that runs a cabin of passengers about 270 metres above the floor of the Jamison Valley from Scenic World. Built in 1958 by Harry Hammond, Director of Scenic Railways Proprietary Limited, the cabin was constructed almost entirely of an extremely strong and light aluminium alloy. In 2017, the Scenic Skyway cable car was replaced by a Swiss-made cabin that can carry 84 passengers every 10 minutes. It is the largest aerial cable car in the Southern Hemisphere. Once we reach the road, our walk turns sharply to the left and crosses at the foot of the Katoomba Cascades, our final location for today. Katoomba Cascades are a series of small waterfalls flowing over a rocky base on the Katoomba River, above Katoomba Falls. The Cascades are situated in Katoomba Falls Reserve, a name given to the area by locals as far back as 1880, but not officially recorded until the 26th of February 1974.
In 1934, the Cascades were on Katoomba Creek, but as we are learning, place names have not often survived in the Blue Mountains. That year, on the 23rd of October, the Katoomba Daily reported, "The new track is entered at the western end near Katoomba Falls Kiosk, at the Wishing Tree. Then comes Katoomba Creek, which is crossed at the foot of the beautiful Katoomba Cascades." We have no knowledge of when this trickle of water that rises in Lake Catalina and flows over the Cascades and Falls becomes the Katoomba River. The Lake Catalina area was recently designated the Gully Aboriginal Place, a traditional camping ground of the Gundungurra people for millennia, the water being sacred to the Gundungurra. However, in more recent times, it is here, at these cascades, that floodlighting was first trialled by the Blue Mountain Shire Council in 1932. Electrical engineer Mr. A. Mayer presented the council an interim report on the subject of floodlighting the principal sites and suggested experimenting on the Katoomba Cascades by erecting 2 poles and a lamp bracket so that the path may be lit up. As we mentioned in episode 16, 2 sections of the full floodlighting scheme, the Lura Cascades and the Three Sisters, were completed later that year on the 3rd of December. Then finally, 4 years later, floodlighting came to Katoomba Falls and the Cascades. The area is still floodlit at night, but will not see its effect today. We visited 6 places today: Lady Darley Lookout, Allambie Lookout, Wollumai Lookout, Cliffview Lookout, Katoomba Cascades, and a short side trip to Sphinx Rock. You don't have to do all that in one day. Take your time, enjoy the outdoors, the sunshine, the fresh air, the wonderful vistas, but most of all, stay safe by familiarising yourself with our safety instructions at the end of this episode.
In our next episode, it's back to Katoomba, where we visit even more lookouts over the Jamison Valley between Katoomba Cascades and the scenic world. Bye!
Join us then. Bye for now. Whatever way you discover the Blue Mountains, we want you to have a safe and enjoyable experience. Whether you drive, catch public transport, or cycle to the destinations we visit here, some walking is necessary. The walks are usually short, but can contrast greatly, so you need to be aware of the risks. Have a safe and enjoyable sightseeing experience at these Lookouts and Waterfalls. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell to be alerted when next we visit the Blue Mountains.